Welcome to the virtual community of the Center for Spiritual Living, Napa Valley. I'm Reverend Jay Lang. I'm the spiritual director of this community. Our beliefs are based on ancient wisdom as well as progressive spirituality. Our mission is to show a way to live fully and wholly through the practical application of spiritual principles. Each week, we offer insights and steps on how to heal and reveal the divine truth in each of us and how to help create a world that works for all people and all life on this planet. So thank you for joining us, and we so appreciate your participation in our virtual community. Today, we're talking about how relationships are a path to spiritual awakening. And I think it's a cute picture, isn't it? But this whole idea that relationships are a spiritual awakening to who we are, that sometimes we stay hidden to our own beliefs, that we stay reserved, conserved, because we don't know how to love, because we don't have a place or a person to love. And it's in these relationships, in these friendships, and in family that we learn to love. We're willing to risk and be vulnerable and share our deepest thoughts. And it opens us up to let go of beliefs that we might have about ourselves or about the world, and just be in this place of receptivity, this place of openness and love. And today I want to particularly talk about when those times when somebody leaves us. Perhaps they betray us, or an event happens where we become more distant. The love that was found in that relationship wasn't about the other person. I mean, it is about the other person, but it's not about the other person. The love was always inside of you. And when that person, for whatever reason, leaves, we are still left with the love that is always there. Now, there may be a time of grieving, a time of loss, a time of disappointment and anger and frustration, a feeling betrayed. We need to feel that in order to stay open, but the truth is we are love, and we are always love, and there's nothing that ever changes that. So as we allow ourselves to be in these relationships, that we can open up to it as a spiritual awakening, the divine within us that is always there. And we can imagine, for instance, that feeling we had when we first started a new relationship or a new friendship, or refound healing in our family, and that sense of wonder and delight and joy and creativity and just an excitement for life. That doesn't have to go away. You just discovered it in yourself is what you did. You didn't discover it in the other person. That other person didn't cause it. It's you. And it's always been you. So we remember that truth of what it is, and we allow ourselves to stay open to new relationships, new ways of opening, new friendships in this community and other communities, because we know that the divine is always calling us to new relationships. Now, this is a funny picture too. You see the difference here, but often the people in our lives that we draw to us are different than us, and that's what we learn from. That we are wired in our emotional, our endocrine system to fight or flee away from when things get uncomfortable. But sometimes it's in that discomfort that we can learn the most. So if we can stay in that moment, we can not get into that fight or flight that is natural for us, but instead stay in the flow, stay in the love, stay in the truth, and we can learn more when we're in relationship with people. We don't have to be caught in that moment that there are deeper things to learn. A Course in Miracles calls this a holy relationship. So as we dive deeper into a friendship or relationship, it is holy, it is sacred, because the divine is in both of us, in every person. and we connect with this deeper part of ourselves that we allow to be truth. Michael Beckwith, who I mentioned earlier, is in this lineage of, as we talk about Black history this month and the spiritual heroes, he's always been a teacher of mine. If you've never heard him speak, he's just great. You can find him online. But he talks about relationships in a way that I can relate to. He says that the blessing in relationships is that they mirror back to us our more evolved qualities as well as our neuroses. Great, right? You know, it's fun when the more evolved qualities are mirrored back. It's not so much fun when the neuroses is mirrored back to us. But that's the nature of life, of relationships, of this mirror that backs to us. I know that comes back to us. I know that when we judge somebody, let's say it's a negative judgment of them being incompetent or unloving, that's a mirror also back to us, that there's an aspect of it. Now, they may be an exaggeration of that aspect of ourselves, but there's also part of us that is incompetent, or we have a fear of being incompetent, or a place that we're not loving, that we're judgmental, that we're hardened in our heart. So we look at, when we judge somebody, what's within ourselves as well. But the same is true, like when I admire this man, Michael Beckwith, as an amazing, conscious man, deep in his sacredness and his elegance in speaking. Guess what? It's in me too. I couldn't see it in him if it's not in me also. So those positive qualities that you see in other people, they're true for you too. And so this power that Michael Beckwith is, that talks about these evolved qualities as well as our neuroses, he goes on to say they bring us, relationships that is, bring us closer to the truth of who we are so we can choose spiritual growth. It's always a choice to choose spiritual growth. We can also choose to close down, blame another person, walk away wounded, and be closed off. That's always a choice, right? Not one that's a good choice for our own spiritual awareness, but one that's always a choice. I talked to a friend of mine yesterday on the phone. His name is John Waterhouse, Reverend Dr. John Waterhouse. He and his wife Barbara are co-ministers at Asheville, North Carolina Center for Spiritual Living, where Kristen and Jen came from. And we're not letting them go back, don't worry. But I called him to let him know that I missed him because he was not at the convention. And he's always at the convention. I think he's had for the last 20 years or something. And the reason he hasn't been here, his dear wife, co-minister, Barbara, had a stroke a couple of months ago. And part of her body was paralyzed and she couldn't speak. And here's this elegant, powerful woman and unable to speak. And so he talked about just the pathway of her consciousness. He goes, I experience her consciousness the same as it was before, just now her path is towards healing. And I affirm that. I said, I know that. I know that, I know we create our reality, but sometimes we have different pathways, and to judge her in any other way I would never do. But we continued to talk about it, and he said how she's walking now with a cane, and she's coming up with words, not as eloquent, but she's able to express herself, but still at times can't fully express herself. It's in there, but she can't speak it. She can't say it. And he said that she just laughs at herself. And I said, she laughs at herself? I tell you, if I was there, I think I'd be cussing, and maybe I wouldn't even have the right cuss words, but I would try. I'd be angry and frustrated. I just don't know if I would have the consciousness to laugh at myself in that moment. And he says it's just a healing process, and that this love and joy that she still is, it's because of the consciousness that she had. So we continued to pray ourselves up and develop this deeper connection. But I was touched in this moment yesterday when I was talking to him, because I'm talking about relationships, that it was the love between them. And he said he was grateful for our prayers and the prayers across the nation, across the world, because he can just allow other people to pray, and he can just be that love, that healing love for her, and be present with her, because that's what she needed more than anything else. And he also talked about how today, he's already finished because he's on the East Coast, but he was going to talk about how our choice between fight or flight, there's always another choice, which is love. And that he's been able to be this love, and we can continue to be the love for them. But I just appreciate the pathway of healing. And you talked about, Imelda was talking about her pathway of healing. And it is this consciousness, healing is always an outpicturing of this consciousness. And speaking of healing, I'm a little sore today. Although we had a convention, I had this idea about skiing. Guess what? I'm not as young or as able as I think I am. I know that may surprise some of you. I'm sure you see me as a 35-year-old dashing skier. On the right side is a picture of me, Reverend Claudia Tambur, who's the minister in Nashville Center for Spiritual Living. And we went skiing together. And it had been 15 years. She went skiing, 4 years for me. But we did okay. We kept up with each other, make sure we were doing okay. And we had been skiing for about 4 hours. And we both kind of said, I think this is it. I'm tired. We're done. We'd been on a number of runs. And we're doing better. We were getting down the turns better, doing a few wide, spread out moguls, and having fun. But we were both saying, we're tired. We're done. So we did this last run and we're doing good, and then we're heading towards the lodge, and suddenly my legs they're done. I can't. I mean, just like I find I'm just barely turning, and I get down to the area near the lodges, and there's all these people, and my skis just aren't turning. They're just not. I'm like going turn, and they just won't move. And so I just come, it gets flatter, near the lodge. I just come to this perfect rest right where my skis stopped, and I just fell over. And Claudia came up going, are you okay? And I said, yeah, I'm fine. Really, it was just a good way to get my skis off because I knew I could walk. These skiing muscles were going nowhere. They were just not, So, I took my skis off, and we laughed about it. And then later that night, when we were heading towards the airport, we were kind of talking about the day, what a good day, and we're proud of each other for getting out there. But I said something about, at the end of the day when I just fell over, she goes, I know, I was following you, and then I didn't think it was you because of how you looked. Because you didn't look very good there. So we were laughing about it. And it's okay, once again, if there's anything you walk away with today, it's okay when you are tired and exhausted just to stop, just to be right where you're at. You don't have to be anything for anybody else. In this moment, take care of yourself. That's all you need to do. That's all you need to do. And let other people love you. Let other people, stay in relationship with people. So they're there to say, are you okay? Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm just in the space of taking care of myself. Well, good. And that's what we need to continue to do, because these relationships we have, that we can just nurture each other, and we can ask for what we need when we need it, and we can ask others to check in on them what they need. And we know that it is like a mirror that we have, that this law of attraction that we talk about in New Thought, people always talk about it, we create what we think, the prosperity and the jobs and things we attract to these. But people often forget the other part of the law of attraction is when we have an intention, we attract relationships into our lives that teach us, sometimes in not comfortable ways. Sometimes they teach us to love because of something that is uncomfortable or painful. And if we can love through that in a mindful way, then we can lean into this learning and experience a greater, deeper transformation because of this. I had a friend of mine is a minister in Oakland, and she and I don't know each other that well, but we've had a few conversations, and I sent her an email a few weeks ago about asking her a question, and there was no response. And I said, okay, maybe she didn't see it. I don't know. I was just letting it go. I wasn't going to make any stuff up. I'm good at making stuff up. Usually she responds to my emails pretty quickly, but I'm not going to make anything up about it. And so I just let it go and didn't think much about it. And then at the convention, there's these breakout workshops. They had main where everybody went, and then breakout workshops where you have choices. And I was going to go to this one workshop that looked pretty good, but I was delayed because of something else I was working on and talking to people about. And it was like 30 minutes late into this workshop that's only an hour and a half long. And so I go, I'm not going to go to this. It's embarrassing to walk in something that late. And it was this clear intuition, this clear, like almost like propulsion to go into this workshop. So I go, okay, I'm going. So I walk in there, and they're doing this weird exercise where they're taking their shoes off and changing shoes and doing partners. I go, oh God, what am I doing here? So I just kind of stayed in the back of the room. I was like, I'm getting out of here, and no, okay, I gotta stay. I don't want to stay. Something is leaving me here. And so I just start walking towards the outside of kind of the room a little bit. And then I see my friend over here that I sent the email to. She's sitting there by herself. And so I just go over there, get a little closer to her and go, how's it going? You know, they did little pleasantries and go, can I sit down and talk with you? You know, she's this person, the facilitator was talking about something with a partner. I go, well, could we be partners? She goes, sure. So we sat down and I started talking, and she goes, I got your email. She just stepped right into it. So first of all, to set the context, she is a black woman who I admire a lot. She's just deep consciousness and very powerful, a little introverted though at times. So when she speaks, you listen, because she's got some powerful things to say. And she said, I got your email, and some of the wording bothered me. And I am tired, she said, as a black woman, always explaining to white men about what they say and how their words are. Now, she was loving and compassionate. I'm not saying she was in any way angry. She's clear. She said, I'm just tired of it. I said, I understand that. I don't, we talked through what I meant and what she thought about it and kind of working through this, and we found, and she goes, I also know your heart, so I wasn't going to dismiss it completely. I was just figuring out how to respond to it. I was just in the question. And she said, it's funny because I was sitting back here, I was late in this workshop, and I didn't want to be here, and I was going to leave, and something told me to stay, and then I saw you come in the door, and I just watched you to make your way over here. And we had this great conversation, and to me, it was healing. We both cried. We both connected on a deeper level. We found ways to talk more with each other. It was very powerful, very powerful. And we also, this whole thing about edge walking that I'm going to do this workshop on. This is what I had an intention for, and guess what? There it happens. And this is the way life works. You set an intention of something to do, and life is going to bring it to you. You go track these relationships. And like I said, part of that conversation, I just wanted to, in the middle of it, I was ready to walk away. Because part of me is going, I'm always saying the wrong thing. I'm screwing up. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to, and yet to stay in this relationship, to stay in this connection, we both felt transformation, and she gave me permission to, or encouraged me to do certain steps that I'm going to do. And so it's very powerful. And she said, white people do need to speak up. They need to advocate. They need to be present. They need to learn how to do this. And I said, I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to be this person. So it was a good conversation in this way. I can never say this gal's name right. Yanla Vincent talked about relationships. She's another of these powerful African-American woman. Not until you are willing to be intimate with someone can you be close enough to can they be close enough to tell you the things you need to hear. So we're in this connection, and I know she had conflict with Oprah used to interview her a lot in different things, and she and Oprah had conflict at one point. And basically they had this dialogue that you can find on YouTube. I didn't listen to the whole thing, but they came through as one reason why Iyanla Iyanla, that's it, had conflict is because she was just becoming a bigger presence and she needed to have a place to expression. And Oprah said, you need to have your own show. And she goes, no, 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 no. But it ended up that's what she did. So she had this show, Fix Your Life, and she's a coach and a teacher, and she just needed a place to express. And she didn't have that permission. She didn't feel she was worthy. But in this conversation and the conflict she had with Oprah, that she was able to empower herself and become something greater. And often this is the case that we open up. We know this thing called intimacy. We talk about whether it's in friendships or with family and relationships is really into me I see. It is a spiritual awakening, a spiritual understanding that we allow a greater connection to be in what that is. And in this intimacy, we lean into the learning that we have in relationships. We lean into the truth that can be revealed in relationships, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's something that maybe we resist, that we can find the learning into it. Getting back to Michael Beckwith, I love when he talks about this, that in this deeper connection, as we seek to be this greater revelation, when our relationships are healthy, we no longer seek to make relationships that make us happy. Instead, we bring our happiness to those relationships. It's no longer a one-way street with all the arrows pointing at me. It's about me. Instead, Beckwith goes on to say, instead of asking, where can I find someone to love me, you're being asked, how can I radiate more love into my relationship? How can I radiate my love into everything in the world around me as it is? And that we recognize in this practice of unconditional love that we have, it's not going to be always perfect, but it's always a perfect expression at the same way because we recognize the divine in ourselves. So my question, are you ready and willing to see yourself as the divine and grow in all your relationships? So repeat after me. I'm ready and willing to see myself as the divine and grow through all of my relationships. One more time. I'm ready and willing to see myself as the divine and grow through all of my relationships. Thank you for listening today. Please know that wherever you are, Spirit is also, and that good things are happening through you in every situation you experience. Feel free to check out our website for upcoming events, and if you're able, join us for one of our Sunday services at 9 a.m. or 10:30. In the meantime, know that you are led by Spirit, guided by wisdom, and protected by love. And so it is.